Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would like to remind everyone to please make sure that all cell phones are turned to the off or vibrate position. Also, please be advised our city council meetings are broadcast on television, on Comcast Channel 99, and rebroadcast on WMGJ Radio. This meeting of the Gadsden City Council will now come to order. The chair calls on City Clerk Ivan Nelson for the roll call.
Councilwoman Toles. Here. Councilman Williams.
Here.
Worthy.
Here.
Eccles.
Here.
Billingsley is absent today. Councilman Cannon.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
We have a quorum present and our meeting is open for business. I'm going to ask Brian Harbison to lead the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you pray with me? Almighty God, we thank you for today. We thank you for the blessings of life. We thank you for this past weekend and the celebration of the resurrection of your Son, Jesus. God, we know in this world we would have no hope without your Son rising from the dead. And we just thank you for what you have done for us as individuals, what you have done for this great city. We pray for these council members today that you will give them the wisdom, the knowledge they need in making the important decisions that they will be making today. Thank you for the mayor. Pray that you'll continue to bless him and his staff. We just pray, God, that as we move through today and throughout life, we'll keep our focus on you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Education Recreation Committee work session and city council meetings held on March 27th.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to approve minutes.
The chair will entertain a motion to ratify payment of accounts for the week of March 23rd through 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to ratify payment of the accounts.
Proclamations, Mayor.
Have two proclamations. The first one, I'd like to ask Dina Thacker and Tammy Jackson, the director of the Family Success Center, to come up, please.
Dina is in a school giving a presentation.
Oh, okay. We'll excuse her. Children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable assets. All children deserve to have the safe, stable, nurturing homes and communities they need to foster their healthy growth and development. Child abuse and neglect is a community responsibility affecting both the current and future quality of a like community. Communities that provide parents with the social support, knowledge in parenting and child development and concrete resources they need to cope with stress and nurture their children to ensure all children grow up to their full potential. Effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships created among citizens, human service agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, and law enforcement agency, and the business community. Therefore, I, Sherman Guyton, Mayor of the City of Gadsden, do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Gadsden and call on all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities in which we live.
Thank you. We appreciate the support of the mayor and of the city council in our efforts. Every child deserves to grow up feeling safe and loved, and sadly, this is not the case for all children in our state. 1 in 7 will be physically or sexually abused before their 18th birthday. 90% of them will know their attacker, and 50% will be abused by a family member. 1 in 3 of our students will experience violence in their dating relationships before they graduate high school. There were nearly 40,000 unduplicated reports of child abuse and neglect last year. Children experiencing this abuse exhibit more negative social behaviors. They suffer more mental health issues, such as depression, outbursts of anger, self-injury, and suicide. They end up in our juvenile justice system more often. They have higher rates of absenteeism, and they drop out of high school at higher rates. They arrive at school less prepared to learn and less able to do so, and then they become adults that continue that cycle. Our Safe and Successful program at Family Success is designed to prevent that abuse or to stop it just as quickly as possible through school-based education and conversation opportunities. Dina Thacker, that he mentioned, is our child abuse prevention educator. She really wishes she could have been here today, but she's in the school doing what she does so well. She's already seen more than 7,000 students in the Gadsden City, Etowah County, and Attala City system this year, and we're on track to make this the largest year ever for Safe and Successful. In most cases, children experience her programming, and then they will disclose to their teacher. Their teacher will report it to the authorities, who will be called in to investigate. I've included an article with your information this morning that shows how that happens a couple of years ago in a case. There's one line in the article that says, the girl saw a presentation at school about what to do if you're being physically or sexually abused and came forward to tell her teacher that this type of thing was happening to her. Though Safe and Successful is not mentioned or the Family Success Center, we know it was Dina Thacker's presentation that empowered this girl to speak up about what she was experiencing. We don't have to be named, and we don't need any credit. We just need to be allowed to continue to intervene on behalf of Gadsden and Etowah County's children, because every child deserves to grow up feeling safe and loved. We appreciate your support. Our Blue Ribbon campaign is how we increase awareness and how we supplement the funding from Children's Trust Fund for the Safe and Successful program. We sincerely appreciate your support of that program and of Family Success.
We are fortunate to get Tammy as the new director of the Family Success Center. She's filling a place that was hard to take. Marie started that. She did a great job with it, and now Tammy's doing a great job. We appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Take that tag off. Be a little post-it note. They got mine off the post office.
Okay. Ms. Falcon, is she here? Patricia Falcon? Oh, there she is, okay. Whereas preventing child abuse depends on community-oriented programs and services that involve a collaboration of professionals to prevent further victimization of children. Child physical and sexual abuse continues to occur when community members are unaware of how appropriately to report child abuse and neglect. There is no racial, social, economic class that is immune to child sexual abuse. Child abuse not only directly harms, but also affects the entire family system. Free specialized services are provided to the community, including forensic interviews, counseling, forensic evaluations, information and referrals, community awareness and education, as well as the support and advocacy of victims for child abuse. The James M. Berry Center for Children plays a critical role in the lives of children who are victims of physical and/or sexual abuse or witnesses to a violent crime. The James M. Berry Center for Children also assists children in feeling comfortable by providing a safe, home-like environment for them to provide information about the abuse. Whereas the James M. Berry Center for Children works collaboratively with all the enforcement jurisdictions, the Department of Human Resources, the District Attorney's Office, to provide a multidisciplinary response to investigators and intervention of child physical and sexual abuse. Therefore, I, Sherman Guyton, the Mayor of the City of Gadsden, on behalf of the Alabama Network of Children's Advocacy Centers, hereby proclaim April 16th to 20th, 2018, the James M. Berry Center for Children and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, businesses to increase their participation in our effort to protect children and support the intervention efforts provided by the James M. Berry Center for Children. I will say, I always like to say this, it applies in this, but one problem you have with a lot of the younger people coming along, the parents don't pay any attention to them or do some of these things that we're talking about now. Studies show they get to the 5th grade and they can't read and understand what they're reading and do math. They start going downhill, they get embarrassed, they get kicked out of school, or worse, they start running with the wrong people.
Thank you, Mayor Guyton. I appreciate the opportunity to be here again this year with the council. As the director of the Berry Center, we're thrilled to add to what Tammy said so eloquently about the numbers of children that are sexually abused or physically abused, and that also relays here in our community. We do see children, and kind of that add-on, that additional part, for some children that do disclose in school, and then some that tell a friend or a friend's mom, or there's a police report done or a direct call to DHR. The Berry Center is there and available to provide, hopefully that as quickly as possible, that intervention service to that child for them to be able to come in for a forensic interview. We're specially trained to talk with children in a way that gives them the opportunity to share their information. Today I have Sharon Harris with me, who's our forensic interviewer, and Betty Wetzel, who are both have had long-term commitments to the Berry Center and to the children of this county. And so I want to make sure to highlight the work that they do as forensic interviewers and as therapists with our children and families. You'll see I've enclosed some information for you. You all know that this past year, the Berry Center has had an opportunity to move to 605 South 4th Street, still here, located in Gadsden. We have moved into the United Way building, and so it's given us an opportunity to have a much larger facility, but we want to thank the city because for 15 years we were there at East Chestnut. And so we want to thank you for that opportunity to initiate our program and to start providing services. But being in a larger location has given us an opportunity to grow and to provide more services. And we're now able to see family members, we're able to see siblings of our victims as well as provide therapy groups and community education. And so as the year progresses and we're a little more settled into our home, certainly you'll see more and more services being offered. And so I wanted to make sure to point that out to you. You'll notice on our annual report that I've enclosed for you that certainly Gadsden has the largest percentage of children that we see at 32% of the 253 forensic interviews that we provided this past year. We're seeing more and more juvenile crimes, and certainly we work with City of Gadsden detectives that are in our juvenile division. But we're seeing more and more crimes of that nature, as well as crimes that involve pornography and technology kinds of crimes. So I wanted to make sure to point that out for you as well. And give you an opportunity, if you had any questions about the Berry Center or any of the services that we provide, certainly feel free to ask those. But thank you for highlighting the work that we do in that recognition of Berry Center Week. We will have our annual pinwheel ceremony at the courthouse, and it will be located in the Sheriff's Department in their multimedia room. And so I invite you all to that. I've enclosed in here for you different events that we're going to be having, which include the pinwheel ceremony. We're also asking just community citizens to wear blue on Fridays. It doesn't have to be a special t-shirt or anything like that, but just an opportunity to bring awareness. As you saw in the news today, if you've seen the headlines for the newspaper this morning, certainly there are cases of all kinds, of physical abuse, of sexual abuse. 87% of the children that we see are cases of sexual abuse, but we certainly see children that have experienced physical abuse or sexual abuse or have witnessed violent crimes here in our community. And again, we work with all of our law enforcement jurisdictions in that regard. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for recognizing the Berry Center and the work that we do, and I appreciate your support always.
Thank you. We do want to thank both Patricia and Tammy representing the Berry Center and the Family Success Center respectively for all the hard work you do and everything that you do for the community. You know, I don't think you have to worry about continued support. You provide a tremendous service in the community, and so we appreciate you having a passion for it, and thank you for what you do. Item number 8B is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisance on property at 2812 Scenic Highway in District 7. And again, this is under unfinished business. The last known owners are Brenda Satterfield Baker and the Robinson Law Firm. This resolution was tabled for 30 days on February 27th. What is the pleasure of the council?
Ask for additional 30, please.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to table the resolution an additional 30 days, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to table for 30 days.
This is the time and place as advertised to conduct a public hearing, allowing anyone to speak in opposition to or in favor of a resolution ordering abatement of nuisance on property at 630 Turntine Street in District 5. Larry Am and Carol Lassiter being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, I'm Brian Harbison with the Building Department. We originally started this case in June of 2016. The property was soon thereafter sold, so we dealt actually with two different property owners. There's been some work done on the exterior of the property you can see in the picture, but the work has appeared to have stopped. We're here today to ask for a resolution to abate the nuisance. Thank you.
What is the pleasure of the council?
I move to abate.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisance on property at 3328 Madison Avenue in District 6. Jerry Lee Phillips, Vicky Dale Phillips, and American General Financial Services of Alabama being the last known owners. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, we started this case in September of last year. There have been no improvements. There are no permits to improve, and we're asking today for a resolution to abate this nuisance.
What is the pleasure of the council?
On the recommendation of the building inspector, I move to abate.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next public hearing is a resolution ordering abatement of nuisance on property at 3330 Madison Avenue in District 6. Robert Stephen Jones being the last known owner. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this resolution? Sir, if you would, give us your name and address, please.
Robert Stephen Jones, 412 Fourth Avenue, Attala, Alabama. Here's some pictures of what has been done to it. I have a list of what has and still needs to be done. If I could just get 30 more days, I'll have it completed. I'd been working on the inside, and you couldn't tell it from the outside, and it needed painted bad, so we scraped it down to the wood and almost got it painted, but between Easter and the rain, yeah, I didn't finish it, but you can see what's been done.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Does anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
Mr. President, we're certainly not opposed to the nuisance being abated by the owner. I have not heard from the owner until the hearing today. So we would ask that the council honor his request, table the case. You can tell in the picture, the outside has pretty much been painted. Some portion of the back gable has not. We're not concerned about the interior at this time, just the exterior, but would not oppose 30-day tabling. Thank you.
What is the pleasure of the council?
On recommendation of Mr. Harbison, he just wanted to give him 30 more days. I ask for a 30-day table, please.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to table the resolution for 30 days, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to table for 30 days.
Our next public hearings are resolutions assessing nuisance abatement liens against property. This is for demolition work that's already been performed, and we have two, it looks like. We have two locations. No, I'm sorry, we have three remaining locations. 2413 McCoy Street in District 2 in the amount of $3,066.40. 603 Cowell Street in District 3 in the amount of $1,966.40. And 1001 Penny Street in District 3 in the amount of $3,041.40. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to any of these resolutions? Does anyone wish to speak in favor? The chair will entertain a motion to adopt all three resolutions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt all three resolutions, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt all three resolutions.
Our final public hearings are resolutions assessing nuisance abatement liens against property. This is for grass cutting work that has already been performed, and we have 7 locations. 1115 3rd Avenue in District 5, $191. 1001 4th Avenue in District 5, $131. 1026 4th Avenue in District 5, $131. 1203 4th Avenue in District 5, $251. 1317 4th Avenue in District 5, $131. 1411 4th Avenue in District 5, $251. 927 6th Street South in District 5, $191. And that's the final one. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to any of these resolutions? Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
That one's been paid, and that one's been paid.
The chair will entertain a motion to adopt all 8 resolutions.
It's actually gonna be 7, I think.
7, I'm sorry, all 7 resolutions.
We had one that paid, so.
I move that we accept all 7 resolutions.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. As a point of discussion, 104 Fourth Avenue was actually paid. Okay, so we didn't read that one. Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt all 7 resolutions, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt all 7.
Item number 24 is a resolution awarding bid number 3370. This is for T-shirts for various city departments. The purchasing department has recommended awarding the bid to Model Ts. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
I move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Item number 25 is a resolution appointing members to the library board. This appoints Fred Zachary, Barbara Woods, and Wanda Smith for terms expiring on February 16th, 2021. Barbara Woods, I'm sorry, and Wanda Smith for terms expiring on February 16th, 2021, and Fred Zachary for term expiring February 16th, 2022. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Item number 26 is a resolution amending rental rates for various facilities of the Parks and Recreation Department. This adds the pricing structure for the venue at Coosa Landing to the list of rentals. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
New business, is there any new business?
Yes, Mr. President, I have one I'd like to ask for unanimous consent, please. The resolution awarding bid number 3377 for the Moraine Park renovation project to Boatner Construction Company in the amount of $2,237,510.70.
Okay, we have a motion to consider today. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution today as an item of new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Yes. At first, I wasn't gonna let it come up today, but after the pre-council, we went downstairs to the engineer's office, and he answered my questions, but I still think it's a little too high.
Okay, is there any additional discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
No.
we have one no. Motion carries to adopt.
Okay, is there any more new business?
Yes, Mr. President, I have one I'd like to ask for unanimous consent for, please. It's an ordinance amending FY 2018 budget by transferring undesignated funds to accounts related to the Moraine Park bid and the riverfront development cleanup of the property between the venue and the Coosa River, please.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the ordinance today under new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we have unanimous consent for consideration.
I move to adopt, please.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
I would just like to say that has to do with Moraine Park, and it also has to do with the new venue, the cleaning up. And this is a park that everybody in the city uses. May sound like a bit much, but my experience with, I know we've agreed on our playground equipment last time, but any construction, any building is expensive. Playground equipment is extremely expensive, but this is a park that we all use in the city, and so I think it's a good thing that we're doing, and plus the new venue. So we've started these projects, and we just have to finish them.
Amen.
All right, is there any additional discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
We have one no. Motion carries to adopt.
All right, is there any more new business? Department reports, committees?
Hello, everyone, and thank y'all for moving forward on Marana Park. That is a park that is really in need, and I appreciate what y'all are doing in that area to help us out. Wanted to come today and talk about a few events that Parks and Rec is hosting or partnering with in our community. This weekend we start out on Friday partnering up with our community at Gadsden City High School fields to support our local special needs athletes for our local Special Olympic Games. That is happening Friday, this April 6th. Then we have Coosa Linden Super Bass Tournament Friday. Right now we're taking registration for all boats and teams that want to enter. We will be at Convention Hall Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. to take more registration just before the teams have their team meeting at 6 p.m. Blast off is at Safe Light on Saturday and Sunday, and weigh-in is at 3 p.m. on both days. Friday night, we also have First Friday on Broad Street in the historic downtown of Gadsden. And next weekend, we have Smoke on the Falls. That is our barbecue competition and festival. It's April 14th. Teams check in on Friday. Saturday, the gates open at 10 a.m. Cost is $5 for ages 4 and up. People can enter to win a Traeger grill. They can listen to live music on the Gadsden Regional Medical Center stage at 10:30 to 12 p.m. We have Crown Bone, and from 1:30 to 3:30 we have Peanut and Rush. The Popeyes Chicken and Biscuit Eating Contest does happen at 12:30 that everybody can sign up for and participate in. And then to end the day off, we do have our barbecue awards at 3:30 p.m. Also on the same Saturday, April 14th, we want invite everybody to bring their bows and arrows to come up to the Nakalula field side and participate in the Black Creek Archery Tournament. And you can register for this archery tournament on our page at nakalulafallspark.com. And that is for all ages, youth and adult to participate in. That Sunday, Gadsden Runners host the Kids Bowl downtown, and registration starts at noon. Race starts at 2 p.m., and that is at the lower parking lot of Convention Hall just beside the YMCA. All month long, Parks and Rec does host a lot of baseball, softball, and fishing tournaments, along with many events at Nakalula Falls and all of our rental facilities. We do ask you to visit Gadsden's website and our social media pages to see what's all happening in our city. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Jim. All right, Shane.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to take another moment to explain a little bit more about Marana Park. This is a project that we've been working on for no less than a year. Seems a lot longer than that, and we do have a good budget. We're proud when we can do business with local companies, and Boatner Construction is here in Etowah County, so your tax dollars will stay here at home. Like I said, it is a good project. It is not just a facelift for Marana Park. It is basically a whole new park. Heath Engineering has done a great job in trying to fix the drainage problems. If you've ever been down there to a family reunion in the pavilion there, if it was raining, you needed waders. So we're proud to report there'll be 3 new pavilions where Heath has assured me that will not be an issue. The council did, thankfully today, approve an ordinance to amend the budget to move $2.2 million from our unassigned fund balance. I'm thankful. If you know this mayor and this council, they are fiscally conservative, but know when to spend the money wisely, and we feel like moving this money to cover the rest of the Marana Park project and the 4 acres across the river next to the venue is a good investment in Gadsden's future. If you don't know, and I'll try to wrap this up, the 4 acres that is between the venue, formerly known as Kmart, and the Coosa River, the day that it was purchased, some 14, 15 years ago, there was, we were bound to do cleanup according to the Alabama Department of Environmental Management's regulations. And so we are now doing that. We're working to, Heath is working on plans to remove a lot of the bad soil that is there, replace it with good dirt so it can be used for future development, green space, whatever seems to work best with our venue project. So this money, based on our estimates, should allow us to do everything we need to do there in this first step. Not saying there won't be additional steps, but in this first step. So hopefully by tomorrow you will see the bad playground equipment at Marana Park and some of the structures that need to be replaced coming out, and hopefully before too long we'll be doing a ribbon cutting. So thank you again.
Shane, before you step down, I think it's a fair question for any citizen who would like to know what the reasonable expense is for a project of this magnitude versus what we're actually spending.
That is a fair question, and our engineering department did do some estimates as we progressed through the project, as we do with any project, and he was pretty much right on the money. So we could have just done the playground, or we could have just done the pavilions, but you would have continued to have drainage problems. You wouldn't have adequate restroom facilities. This, the heart of the park is opened up to be a lighted green space so that families can come, kick the soccer ball around, throw the frisbee. We could show movies. We have adequate lighting for a change. With the new sidewalks, moms can go and exercise while their kids play in the playground safely. The parking situation is fixed. The intersection with Rainbow Drive is fixed. It just does a whole lot more. And to put things in perspective, the Nakalula Falls playground, which was renovated probably 8 years ago, something like that, was over $400,000, and it is a fraction of, it is truly just a playground. It's not, that's a playground within the park. This is a park and a playground together. So relatively speaking, the total project's about 2.5 million is right on track.
Well, and with Nakalula Park, we were gifted some material aspects of that one from a private entity as well.
Yes, we did have a partner in Jack's Hamburgers on that project, and would welcome anyone who would like to partner on Marana Park. We've actually talked to the Kiwanis Club about some things because they were extremely interested in the handicap, the ADA component of this park. And what we didn't talk about, I don't think a whole lot during the playground or the equipment bid, is that the entire playground surface will be the poured in place material. So there is very little, if any, long-term maintenance costs associated with that. It can rain this morning and this afternoon. You can take your kids out and play and not be in a mud hole and despite the fact they say that that pine bark works for wheelchair compliance, it just doesn't. And so anytime we can put this material in place, basically Compan, that's the name of the company, we don't have a whole lot of individualized, like wheelchair accessible components because most of their equipment is designed to be used by children with disabilities.
Question. The new tax. Now, when we get enough money in that for capital improvement, will we be able to replace that money into the undesignated fund for this? Because I thought the new tax was for the capital improvement.
That's true, and we did budget $900,000 for
That's the
Marana
next thing I
Park
was gonna get to.
in the new 1% sales tax, but we have a lighting bid this afternoon for soccer fields over at Gadsden State that this council approved the lease on, and that's probably in the $500,000 range. There's paving projects totaling, I think, $1.3 to $1.5 million. There's drainage improvements. There's this. There's that. There's a lot of things in that new 1% sales tax, and we knew at the time that Marana would be over $900,000, but until you finish design, which was a couple of months ago, you don't have a great estimate. So thankfully, we received our audit report this morning. The city is in very good financial shape as long as we continue to be fiscally minded, and we do have the money that we could use out of unassigned. No, sir, you cannot commingle the new 1% sales tax and the unassigned fund balance, but if Lisa were here, our finance director, she would tell you that each year we, over the last couple of years, we have put back over $1 million at the end of the year. So we have no reason to believe that this fund won't at least replenish itself, if not more than that, at the end of fiscal year 18, which is only some 6 months away now. We're halfway through the fiscal year. So we would expect it to come back to the basically where it is today.
Mr. President, we listed all the projects in the news, on TV and everything. Each project we're doing, we listed those when we did the 1 cent sales tax, and we're going down the list. Might take a while, but where those projects are listed, it will let everybody know what it was going for, and that's where it's going. Previously, a long time ago, they did one, and nobody knew what it was going for, but we got this listed so everybody can see where it's going. And we've increased our designated fund. We've increased that, I can't tell you, about 9 times or 10 times or 12 times more than what it was when we got here. It was nothing.
Yeah, Mayor, I'll piggyback on that. I mean, this is in stark contrast to what was done back then. There were a number of blind spots in that budget, so the average citizen didn't know where that money was going. So.
The city attorney actually called me yesterday and said, "Why in the world have you worded this the way that you have? Because it's very complicated." And my response was, yes, we could have moved some money around and simplified this to say $2.2 million for Marana Park, but it would not have given anybody that's interested the true full picture of what is occurring. So that's the reason you have $734 and change instead of $2.2 million rounded off. It's just to provide clarity going forward.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say, have good questions and good answers. I'm just glad to see us doing a project to fulfill, get it done. Anybody that's been up and down Albert Raines Boulevard anytime can see the number of people who use that park.
Even as bad as it is.
Oh my goodness, it's ankle deep in water down there. And the first pavilion, I don't see how people even go in there, but they did. They survived.
The Horseshoe folks had the state competition here, so we're improving that pavilion. The new volleyball course will be able to support contests, which we couldn't do previously because they'll be lit in their regulation size.
But you'll have good drainage, and that's what people are interested in first.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the time.
All right, thank you, Shane. Remarks by the mayor and council. Councilman Reed, you want to start us?
Whoa. I thought you were gonna say mayor. First, I wanna say Robert Eccles. I just gotta thank him as far as a Family Success Center, because without him, there wouldn't even be one. So thank you. It bears his name, so it'll be there forever. And Tammy, Marie, and you, I don't care what it was, when I called, it happened. It absolutely did. It's a go-to for anything that I need, and I want to thank y'all publicly. But I did want to bring it back to Robert Eccles and just say, hey, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
I had a lot of help.
You did, but money counts, you know what I mean?
It was and the people may not know, but it turned out to be a partnership with the city, the United Way, and the junior college. And so each one of them, that's the reason it's been so successful. And there's no question that Marie was a godsend, because she made it what it is, and Tammy's keeping it going like it was. She's going good. It's they touched like 8,000 lives last year. That's a lot of people. But there's a lot of need, and they don't give out any money. So it's not a question of, I'll get something for nothing. It's just turned out to be a wonderful thing, and it's over 20 years old now. And I appreciate what Ben says, but I had a lot of company at the time. We went and looked at a lot of different things to come up with what we have. And the city has been really cooperative in building the new building, tearing down what was over there. That's been paid off now. We borrowed the money from the federal government to build that building over there, and it's been paid off. So they won't move you out, Tammy. But thank you for supporting it for all these years. And I think it's been worth the money that the federal government spent on it. Thank you, Ben.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Mr. Eccles. Mr. Eccles, I'll extend your time while you've got the floor. Is there anything else you wanted to?
No,
Okay, all right.
I pass.
Councilman Cannon?
Yes, I just want to let everybody know that your city council does not meet at 11 o'clock and go over business. We started this morning at 9 o'clock. We had the budget, went over the budget and see where it was an audit and everything. We was there for that. 10 o'clock, we had the pre-council meeting. That's where everything goes on at the pre-council. When you get up here at 11 o'clock, everything's done settled and it's ready to be talked about up here again a little bit and voted on. And I guess I'm getting to that point is I've been riding around the city of Gadsden, looking at people that's already campaigning for city council all over the city. And I just don't understand how can anybody be out campaigning and don't even know what the job exists of. I think if you're gonna run for city council, you need to get involved, you need to come up here at the pre-council meeting, see what goes on, where you'll know what to do if you get elected. I just don't see anybody can just come up here the first day if they're elected and know what's going on. And I just think that the citizens deserve people that come up here, take their time, and just see what city government's all about and come up here and listen and learn. I challenge everybody that's running for city council, no matter what district you're running in, to come from this point on Tuesdays. Come when we have pre-council downstairs at 9. And I know next week we're starting at 9:30 down there, Park Recreation Committee. But I just challenge all these people that's running to start getting involved. Come to the city council's meeting. Know what your job you're trying to get. You just can't say, I'm gonna run for city. Well, you can, but you won't know anything when you get here. All of us will welcome you to come up here and just try to learn what's going on. That's all I got.
Thank you. Councilwoman Toles?
Yes, I have two things. First is District 1 will meet April the 30th, 6 p.m. at the Antioch Family Life Center. And the second thing is concerning the parks. throughout our city, there's a lot of parks besides the one we just talked about. And there's, what I would like to do is challenge Shane, the mayor, and with the monies that they have to those parks that needed to be refurbished, to new equipment to be put in there. There's one in particular that we've been talking about. But just want you to know that the city is interested in all the parks, especially the ones that are being used. Now, those that are not being used, we're gonna find the time to see if we can demolish them or remove them, because that's an upkeep that we don't necessarily have to have. But I just want to say that we're concerned about all the parks in the city. We want them to look good, we want them to be used, and we want the people to take care of them. So I challenge our citizens to take care of our parks. Some of our parks are used for things that shouldn't be used for. But let's take care of our parks and throughout our city.
Thank you, Councilman Ward.
Yes, I just want to announce the District 3 Community Meeting will be this Thursday, April the 5th, at Carver Community Center from 5:30 to 7. And Love Your Neighbor will be there also. That's a nonprofit group that's gonna assist in cleaning and painting some houses and different things in District 3 off of the Tuscaloosa Avenue area this summer. And also, when we talk about the budget and these different projects that come up, you know, I got a call yesterday about this was coming up today. I like to study it, especially when we're gonna spend this type of money. And like I said, I went downstairs after the pre-council meeting and talked with Heath. But I'm concerned with a lot of the projects we've been doing lately. We budget them for one price, and then they come in way over budget. Starting with the pool. The pool, we budgeted for $250, and it came in at $460,000. Then the Fifth Street Market there at Fifth and Locust. Same way, it was like $250 budgeted, and it came in at $400-something thousand. Then now Marana Park budgeted for $900,000, and it's went over to up almost 2-point-something million. And then we spent almost $400,000 last week on the playground equipment. So I'm just want us to look at that and just study it a little bit. That's all. It's not that I'm against the park down there. Shoot, I've been down there plenty of times at the park, and I want it to be fixed. But if we don't have to spend the type of money we're spending, because I like for us to look at another avenue. Because like you just said, Doc, we got parks all over, especially Hickory Street Park we've been talking about. We started talking about it last year, and still nothing has happened. And they were up here today at pre-council talking about that. So we want to get all the parks fixed, the ones that we're going to fix. So that's all. It's not that I don't want to see a park down there. And I'm going to ask questions as long as I'm here. You know, some people get mad because I ask questions. That's okay. That's your business. But if I'm not asking questions, I'm not doing my job. That's the way I look at it. So I'm going to continue to ask questions. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor?
I will say that we do know what we're doing. We had how many bidders on that, Shane? 3 bidders, and that was the lowest, and it was a local company, which is good. We bid everything out. You know, we get them from everywhere, outside Etowah County and Etowah County. And when we get 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 bidders on a project and all the numbers are pretty close, we always take the cheapest one. But, you know, that's the price of doing business. That's why we got that list that we're going down. Everything has been designated, and anytime anybody wants to come and ask questions, I will be glad to get Shane, the engineer, the finance director, who is excellent. I call her Dr. No, because her words are always, well, no, we can't do that. That's why we've got plenty of money in the bank, plenty. When I got here, I think we had about $1.5 million in the bank and $7.5 million in payments. And it was not good. But anyway, we are very accountable for the money, and we don't mind anybody asking questions all the time. But you can come up and see us one-on-one or 2 or 3 or 4 and do that instead of grandstanding. So that's pretty much the way.
Thank you, Mayor. So what I'll say as it relates to the job that our engineering department does as far as trying to estimate the expense for those costs. I mean, just and again, this is gonna, some of this will put you to sleep, which is why you have to let engineers do it. But, you know, you take a set of specs, that are standard for a specific project, and you estimate the expense based on those specs. And sometimes you do miss them. A lot of times, actually, you miss them. Yeah, a lot of times you do miss them. I think we were pretty close on this one, but sometimes you do miss them. And when that happens, you have to decide if you want to move forward with the project and whether you have the money to do it and whether or not you want to incur that expense. So, so again, I think, you know, we had our audit review today, which was very positive. It is recommended that a fiscally responsible city have about 3 months operating income in the bank, and we're north of that to some degree, and so that's something we're proud of, and it doesn't mean that, you know, we're gonna go out and all of a sudden start spending. It just means that that we have some rainy day monies available if we encounter a Tuscaloosa-like or a Prattville-like situation where we have to start digging into our reserves. So again, it's, and you know, I think it's very fair for anyone to ask and pose questions. And I think if you have been through any of our pre-council meetings, we talk stuff to death sometimes. I think the point that has to be noted, though, is that I've always had this concern. Our form of government, the way it's set up, we generally have 7, 8, including the mayor, people up here who may or may not know what they're talking about. I mean, it's just that simple. I was a taxpayer first before I became an elected official. And we've got 7 or 8 people who may or may not know what they're talking about. But we have some very bright people who work here every day who do know what they're talking about. And so we have to be smart enough to listen to those folks and then question what they're doing if we have questions about it, and then be confident that we've made a good collective decision. So you definitely don't want me, and I'm just gonna keep this personal, you don't want me, as smart as I might think I am, you don't want me quoting your road projects, you don't want me quoting any of your projects because I don't know what I'm doing. I know just enough to be dangerous. And so I think what has happened today is you've kind of seen the exercise or the science of making sausages, like a lot of people like to refer to it as. But you've seen the exercise today. We've spoken to it. We've addressed it. We've voted our conscience. And I don't think you can fault anybody for voting their conscience, whether it's a yea or nay vote. All right, and I think we have to be, you know, sensitive to that and move on. So I always appreciate this council and the professional manner in which they handle those kinds of things.
I agree with that, and I agree with that people should look if they have a question, they should try to find the answer. However, I also believe that if you have the money, you do it right the first time. You don't do halfway and then have to do it over again sometime later. So when we have these overruns, as long as we have engineers and lawyers and police chiefs, we need to go with them. I sure don't know the answer. I'm not an engineer. So that's the way I look at it, and I've been here a long time. May not be here very long now, but I do appreciate the fact that we have some good people out there in this city, and they're doing a good job, and I'm gonna back them every time.
All right.
I got one more thing to say. I'm not blaming anything on the engineer. If I'm not mistaken, you don't estimate how much the project is gonna cost most of the time. When like when we did the pool, did we not have one of the contractors go down there and you tell them what you wanted them to do, and then they gave you a price? Yeah, that's the question.
General, most projects, we start with an estimated budget to begin a project. That's kind of a shot in the dark. Literally, some projects we know more about them than others, but, for instance, some of the projects that we have, you know, if it's a standard street resurfacing, we can get that down to a T. The Marana Park, it was quite a bit of a challenge. This one actually was on budget. We broke it down and we're right on target where we thought we would be. Where we don't know is when you get into some of the, for instance, the community centers or the, you know, maybe it's the venue, maybe it's 6th Street Pool. We start out with a thought of, hey, we're going to allot this much and see what we can do with it. A lot of times we'll begin that process and you get into the design, you get into more depth, you get into the testing and the data, et cetera, all the boring engineering stuff that President Williams was talking about, and you say, hey, I can't quite achieve what we're wanting to achieve with that budget. And so then at that point, we may need to escalate the cost. Generally, we know, sometimes we're surprised, but that, you know, based on market fluctuations, based on everything from steel prices to concrete to asphalt to oil, et cetera, it all plays. It's like a moving target. And so we do our best to get close. I personally cannot stand missing an estimate. Neither can any of my fellow professionals, whether it's architects or engineers, et cetera. It's just the nature of the beast. We try to, depending on the project, if we have background data, we can usually get it pretty close. Sometimes you do get a little surprised, but a lot of times you always start with an initial cost estimate, try to design to it, see if you can do what you're trying to achieve with that cost estimate, and that's generally where it increases just to get the end result, such as Mr. Eccles was talking about.
Yeah, one very common instance where they miss a lot of times is environmental aspects. A lot of times you don't know what's under the ground until you start digging or until you start testing. And so those are things that sneak up on you sometimes, and they can result in a significant movement in the cost of a project. So again, it's why our form of government, while it's very inclusive, sometimes scares me, because you know you could wake up one day and not have any continuity. You could have, you know, and I look at the mayor's race the last time. You could have somebody show up and there not be anybody that knows what they're doing. And I'm just gonna be very blatantly and bluntly honest with it. You could wake up one day and there'll be somebody in office who doesn't know what they're doing. And so you have to be very careful with that as a voter. I've only been an elected official for roughly 8 years now, and I was a voter most of that other time. And when I was a voter, it scared me. It scared me when I saw the type of people sometimes that would run for office who didn't know what they were doing and who probably wouldn't have the sense to depend on these very bright people to make those decisions. So just keep that in mind. I want people to understand it can be a complicated process, but it's also a very inclusive process, and that's why we depend on the electorate to put people up here who they're comfortable with. So
That's why think about the East Gadsden Community Center. It was budgeted at one price, and now I think it's 5.5 million. So things happen like that, but we still want the community center.
Yes,
We still want your money.
all right. So a couple quick things before we entertain a motion to adjourn. We were asked to speak to the Board of Education meeting that's going to be held today. As I understand it, it's a 5 o'clock meeting, and I think the location is going to be at the central office. Okay, the location is going to be at the central office. There won't be any items on the agenda, as I understand it, for them to vote or consider from an official capacity. What they are going to be doing is looking at the finalists that have been recommended for school superintendent. So they're encouraging the community to come out. And again, the agency that's been enlisted to help with that search has a list of finalists, and they're going to be presenting those finalists today at 5 p.m. at the central office. So we do want the community to come out and support that event. Do want to wish Councilman Cannon a happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right, so he's one year older today.
Don't want cake.
And the last thing I have before we adjourn is Councilman Billingsley's not here today. Keep him in your prayers. As I understand it, I actually spoke with him this morning. He's fine. He's old, so So he gets to go, he gets to go, he gets to go first. I think when they do surgeries, they, those of the less invasive kind, or the non-invasive kind, he gets to go first, cause he's old. So he's been at home for a while this morning and, recovering, and, he'll be back in the swing next week. He said he even may be able to make the meeting tonight, so he's doing fine.
You don't have to see him, he'll see it on TV.
Yeah.
Councilman Williams, is the firefinance gonna be there tonight also, or just?
I don't think so. I don't think any of them have been notified. You know, from a human resources perspective, I haven't been involved in this process at all. But I can tell you that, just from an HR perspective, there are people that are probably on that list who, have other jobs, and they're really not interested in, their current employers knowing that they're interested in going somewhere else. So, you know, that's a delicate situation and a very individualized situation for people. So I don't think they'll be there, I guess is the simple answer. I don't think they'll be there tonight. But there will be, I think the way the process is built, there will be an opportunity for those folks to be present and be questioned by the community, so. All right, if there's nothing else, I entertain a motion that we adjourn.
5 minutes.